Great. My name is Mileke Kolawole. I'm a cloud engineer. Recently became a GDE, something called being a GDE. And guys, I'm shy. Um, and yeah, so today I'm going to be taking us a session on building AI agents with Google's ADK. Right. Initially, this was meant to be a you do it while I kind of support kind of session, but then I quickly realized that most of us did not come with laptops or and that the internet here is not great, so I had to hook up slides and a short demo last night that I can show you, right? um okay, let's moving on. So what we're going to be going through is what are agents, what is ADK, why ADK, and then we'll do a very quick walkthrough, a very quick demo. I would run ADK on my local and would pretty much see what that looks like, right? The first thing, what are agents? Agents are, no, before that, how many of us here know what agents are? Okay. How many of us here have heard of agents? Okay. Better number. So agents, MCP, A2A, AI, different models. There are so many buzzwords that are going around, that have been going around since I think February or March, right? There is one new thing happening in AI literally every other week, right? If you have your ears on the ground, I think about 3 days ago, Google released yet again something new called anti-gravity and the Gemini 3 model, right? In all these things, there's something called agents. What are these agents? So, as opposed to the typical chatbots and LLMs that we thought were groundbreaking feats of artificial intelligence back in 2021, before everything started going crazy, agents are autonomous systems that can do things, right? LLMs, large language models, um, essentially what is behind chatbots. If you do not know what LLMs are, just imagine them as chatbots. You ask a question because it's already pre-trained on some information. It can give you a response based on what it's been trained on, right? It can't do anything. It can't do anything on your computer. It can't book a flight, for example. It can't solve multiple layer problems that you've not already given the model answers to. Agents, on the other hand, they are autonomous software systems that use AI to perform tasks, as simple as that can be. And the analogy that I would use to explain this is brain versus employee, right? The brain is, or the brain in this case, is our LLMs, right? The brain is what you ask questions. You've given it some knowledge, you've given it some pretext. When you ask it a question, it will give you the answer to it. But if you ask that brain to do something for you, like booking a flight, it will immediately tell you that you're crazy. Okay, maybe not, but something similar. It will tell you that, oh, I'm not able to do this, I'm not programmed to do this, or something of the sort. And an agent, on the other hand, can be compared to an employee. An employee, someone that has already been trained as well using similar data, but that employee, when you tell them, book me a flight, they can, one, ask you to where, check the flight itineraries, check the different airlines, check what routes they are going to, get your passport number, and then book that flight. Right? That's the difference between. Well, that's the simplest way I can explain the difference between typical LLMs and an agent. Right? I was actually going to, let me actually show us an example of what that looks like. I'll have to carry this screen here. Okay, so let's take this guy here. Right. Okay. So let's come to, for example's sake, Gemini. If I come to Gemini now and I say book book me a flight. So now, because Gemini is a whole lot more intelligent, it most likely will check flight itineraries for me. But if you had asked this, if you had asked ChatGPT this, or even Gemini, maybe when it was called bad and it wasn't so intelligent, it would straight up tell you that it can't book a flight. And this is actually not going to book a flight. The best it can do is show you flight itineraries, right? Because it has gotten a tad bit more intelligent. But let's just try that. We say, book me a flight. Hey, you guys are seeing my message. I can't book flight directly. Okay, exactly. But sorry, how can I put this in full screen? I can't book flight directly, but I can help you find the best flight options and provide booking links, right? And agents, however, can the cool thing with agents is you can have one agent acting as an orchestrator or the director of other agents, right? You have one agent and it is able to call other much trained or well trained agents that can do specific things, right? Okay, so that was just show that. Right, there's three main components of an agent. One is tools, two is memory, and three is instruction. Tools are essentially very niche information that you've given to that agent, right? Niche in the sense of if you ask if you ask Gemini what's happening in National Theatre today, it most likely would not know the answer to it. However, if we've written a script or we've given it access to a database of events that are happening across Lagos throughout the week or throughout the year, and National Theatre on Friday, 21st of November is one of those things there, that agent can reference that tool and get that information for you, right? Or say you give it an example like I want to book the best event space in Lagos, because we've given it access to all the event space, and maybe we've given it a script or a database with different ratings of event spaces in Lagos. The first agent can call another agent that has access to those tools and use that information to get you that. Second thing is memory. Now, traditional LLMs store do not have memory, right? If you ask it something, it's only answering you based on the information that it had before that point, right? If you train it if you're trying to train it while you're asking it those questions, it will not necessarily store those things, right? If you're telling it how to do something while it's trying to answer you, it's not necessarily store those things in memory. However, agents are able to do that. So the next time, so if you prompt an agent and you tell it to help you do something, or if you tell your agent that the flights that you want to book, say you don't want to have connecting flights, right? And the next time you are asking the agent to do something, you're telling it to book you a flight. It remembers that you do not want to have connecting flights because you already gave it that information before. And then next is instruction. Whenever you have an agent, well, just like any LLM that you're prompting, there has to be an instruction that you're giving to it, right? So in short, an LLM talks, an agent does, right? I thought that was cool when I was writing it. Yes. Well, okay. Thanks, person that claps. God no shame you. So one agent, one conversation, one one task. The way that works, I just wrote a bunch of things there. A user asks a question, the AI processes that question and responds to it. A user asks a follow-up, it repeats the process of responding to that question. Right. So example, book me a flight. It finds a flight. Okay, this is an agent. Books me a flight, finds a flight. Now find the hotel. It finds the hotel. Now find the ride to my hotel. Now it does that. That's what an agent can do for you. There's another layer to this where you can have multiple agents doing stuff for you. Right. So something like this where I'm saying book me a flight. Now find the hotel. Now find the ride to my hotel. You can configure multiple agents to work for you such that you tell it to book a trip to Indonesia, for example, and it books the flights, it finds the hotel there, and it finds the ride to the hotel. That brings us to agent development kits, right? Because if you're doing something like this where you want to have multiple agents which have access to different tools and can call different models, can independently orchestrate other models, you need something to be in charge of this orchestration. And that's what we have ADK for, the Agent Development Kit. It's essentially a Python framework for building AI systems. Right. And just to give more context to that, it allows you to build and modify different agents, right? So it's pretty much an agent manager, right? Features of this was, I think I missed. Sorry, this was meant to confess. Features of the ADK. It has a built-in agent to has a built-in agent-to-agent protocol support, agent orchestration tools, agent delegation, which essentially means you can ask one agent a question, and then it's going to get the answer for you from multiple other agents that you've configured it to talk to. Right? Then pre-built agent templates, state management, and memory. And let's now go to the first slide. Other features, that's built-in A2A support, agent orchestration. I think I just repeated that. So why use ADK? Why make use of ADK for anything? ADK focuses on the agent logic, right? So ADK allows you focus on the agent logic and not necessarily worrying about how to pull all those models, how to pull all those agents together. All you have to do is tell this agent to talk to the next one. Depending on how you want to configure it, right? And this is an example of a basic setup using the ADK library. I will do something similar. I'm actually going to show something similar to this in the demo that we're going to do next up, right? So unfortunately, most people don't have their laptops here. If we did, what I was going to have us do is actually this workshop. Just copy that. So there's this workshop that I attended that was taken by a Googler sometime in June. Right, it's one of the best workshops that I've ever attended because most workshops that I have attended, at least before this, would have you following exactly what the instructor is doing. Either they've given you a set of commands to follow. Sorry, either they've given you a set of commands to follow, or they are doing it for you to see. Right, but this particular workshop, which I would actually okay, we might not be able to see it. Oh, damn it! That doesn't work. Well, I mean, you could just go to github.com and get that name and /adk-workshop. So it's completely without help, in the sense that the entire workshop is broken into 3 modules. One is the AI Studio module. 2 is the So there's an AI Studio Fundamentals module, an ADK Fundamentals module, and a Building Smarter Agents module. The AI Studio one is the easiest, of course, because you're just giving prompts to AI Studio, right? Or can you see text in this image? Can you generate an image for me or something like that? While in the ADK Fundamentals module, there's a couple more challenges that you can actually get your hands dirty with, right? Each of them do not come. So the cool thing I really liked about it, which is I wanted us to do it during the session, is there's no support for it. So it just asks you to do something. Use ADK create demo. It's a command to generate agent source code and ADK web to launch it, right? There's no other support aside that. And what I liked about it was that I had to start researching and checking the docs on how to do all those things myself, right? Before you get to even being able to run ADK create demo, you have to have installed ADK on your local. Before you do that, you have to have a Python and a virtual environment, right? But we'll be doing that here, right? So if you, I think it's pretty cool. You can spend some time going over it when you get back to your house or wherever you're coming from. All right, and so let's get right into it. I will bring my terminal here. Okay. Right. Where? All right. So I'm going to be doing two things if time permits. One, I'll be setting up an agent with ADK on my local, and then I would try another example of hosting it on something called Cloud Run. Right. Cloud Run is it's a serverless service for running containers, essentially. So we're going to have our Docker. Sorry, we're going to have our agent built into an image, and then we'll run that image on Cloud Run. But first thing, can you just confirm you can see the text? Okay, great. Okay, great. Everyone can see this, right? Oh, shit, sorry. Cool. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be doing is creating a virtual environment. So we're going to be setting up an environment and installing ADK. The first command we'll be running is, I already have Python installed on this. So Python 3 as bmv.bmv. What did I have there before? Okay. Then the next thing we'll be doing is, I use a Mac, so the command for activating the virtual environment on Mac is source. Use source, then bmv or whatever you use in the first step. I use .bmv /bin. And now I have my virtual environment. Now I can run pip install ADK, Google ADK. Okay, the internet is not as bad as I thought. All right, so we give that a minute, and once we have it set up, we continue with it. So far, are there any questions? Just because I don't want to just stand here doing nothing while it's loading. Is there any questions so far? Okay. It's built with Python, right? Is it available on other programs? Come again. Please come again. So the Python part of that is just telling you what it's built with. But then to compare, actually it's Python. Yeah, actually it's Python. Yeah. Come again. Yes, true. There is one for, I just remembered. Actually, I'll take you to the docs. So there's one for Java and Go as well on the docs. Actually, add that. So if you check the docs, there's one for Java and Go as well, with different installation guides, right? But this particular one is we're using Python here, right? Cool. This one. Okay, that's done installing. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is set up our environment, right? The environment that we're going to be doing all the things I'll be doing. Nothing crazy. Yeah. Then cd into that. All right, then we'll be creating an init.py file. Can you all see the commands? Okay. And then get the command here. Okay. So for in the init.py file, it's just from .import agent, right? Then we're going to be creating another file called agent.py where we'd actually have the code. So everything from the libraries that I'm making use of to the tools that I'm making use of, and then the agent itself, right? Okay, so another file, vim agent.py. Is that a py? Right. Okay, so I already have some code here for the agents that I'm going to be setting up, right? We'll just be walking through the code. I'm not going to actually write the entire thing here. Code from the docs. Yeah, so I'll just use VS Code. Sorry. Sorry, trying to collapse this place. Okay. So we have that here. So tiny. Can you guys see this? All right. So just before I go on, agents are heavily, or let me put it like this. There's something called doc strings in agents that are extremely important when you are creating an agent, which is pretty much what you use to set the instructions that are going to be given it. Right? Remember the three things that we mentioned earlier: tools, memory, and instructions. The instructions tell the agent exactly what it's meant to be doing. Or so if it's referencing a tool, right, the tool has to have the clear instructions of what it's going to be doing. Right. So here we have a get weather tool here. So define get weather instruction. It retrieves the current weather report for a specified city. The specified city here is New York, right? So this agent is actually going to be restricted to New York, and there is some reports written there with it. And then there's another tool for getting the current time in places. And at the bottom here, we have the agent. So this root underscore agent is our definition of the agent itself, or the agent that is going to be our entry points, right? That's the best way to put it. So right now, why isn't just one agent, but this is our entry points. That agent has access to two different tools and instructions, right? So the tools that it has access to get weather, get current time, and there's an instruction here, an info agent who can answer questions about the time and weather in a city. We've also given access to a model, Gemini 2.0 Flash. Once that's done, save that. I need to get an API key. There's an env bit of this that I need to do as well. Env. I'll need to add an API key to this as well. So there's different ways that you can authenticate with this. So you can either use an API key from AI Studios, or make use of the Vertex AI APIs, the AI APIs from GCP, right? I'm going to be using an API key from here. So just let me get that. Okay. Oh, wait, close your eyes. Okay. I didn't think that through. Okay, let's go back to the terminal, please. Okay, I can exit. I hope this won't ask me to. All right. I didn't save it yet. So let me just get this back. No, I'm not making that mistake. But I'm sure you've already seen it. I'll delete it once I'm done with this thing. What do you mean, Mama, like this? Let me just yeah, save that. Agent of Pi, save that. I think I put that in there. Oh. I think I made a mistake. So just give me a minute. Just imagine I'm doing something cool on the screen. Then I know, right? VMV. Yeah, cross it. Okay. So come back here, ls, and we have our init.py file, the agent.py, the Python code for the agent itself, and our environment variable where my not so secret API key is. Right. So now that I have this, ADK allows us to run this in the terminal, right? So all we pretty much need to do is spin up a UI for this, and you'd be able to see the agent that we've just created right? And then prompt it and ask it questions and whatnot, right? I think I have a couple more agents that I was playing with earlier. So we'll also see those as well. The command for that is just ADK web, right? Once it's done, and I prayed, though, and I prayed. You guys not believe that this did not happen before this. Okay, sorry. Let me just let me just try to figure out what that's about. Okay. Just sure. All right. Okay, let's try that again. Doesn't work this time. I'll know that I need to go back home this December, my village. Same thing. Okay, I'm just trying to install it. That did not happen before, but man, technology just baffles me. All right, so I'm just gonna go to local host here. 127.0.0.1/8,000. Okay, and so this is what the agent development kit looks like, right? If you had created multiple agents, each of those agents would be here, right? You'd select the agents here. Because I created this in a directory where I had multiple agents running, I can make use of any of these. So I did not configure any of these agents to be relevant to the other. However, if I did, you'd be able to select any one of the agents, and if need be, allow it to make inference to the others, right? So it's just the agents with tool that I have here, and I can pretty much ask it, what can you do based on the tool, and Jesus Christ. The response it's going to give is based on the tool that it was given access to, right? I can answer questions about the time and weather in a city, right? Because the only tools that we gave it access to were time, I think current time, and weather in a city tools, right? However, depending on however you configure this, you can have pretty cool stuff. So I'm actually going to do another one with a lot more things. So this was just a proof of concept. So what's for example, the time in weather. So you would see that it is referencing the tools that we gave it, right? So that lightning get weather and take get weather means it's referencing tools that it has been given access to. There's also a pretty cool thing with ADK, such that if you did not give it access to a tool, you can tell it to not try to bluff through its answers, right? So if I ask it what's the weather in Lagos, for instance, it's not going to try to tell me what the weather in Lagos is. It's just straight up tell me that I did not give it a tool that will allow it to check for the weather in Lagos, because it was only New York that we configured. So what's the weather in New York? Maybe I should just look at the keyboard. Oh, I did New York again. And nobody corrected me. You guys saw I was typing New York again. It's not Lagos we all agreed on. What's the wow in Lagos? You're going to reference the tool, and it's going to say that weather information for Lagos is not available because we did not give it access to that tool. Right. The next thing I'll be trying out is an agent that has access to a couple more tools, right? And this one has something called sub-agents, which ties to the concept I was talking about earlier, where an agent, if given access, can talk to other agents that have the ability to do specific things, right? So our entry point is going to be agent A, and it's going to be agent A is going to be able to reach out to agent B and C for help, right? And this is also going to be deployed on Cloud Run. So just to show both the things you can do with this, up this, there. Oh, oh my God, sorry. No, there's nothing there. It's just my email. I just didn't want you to. Okay. Okay, so first thing we're going to be doing is let's create a new directory. Same thing. So this one is, I'm not going to be running this in my virtual environment, so I can actually get out of this. I'm going to be running this. I'm going to be building an image from this and then running that image as a container in Cloud Run, right? Right. First thing we do is with pwd. DevFest Lagos. All right. First thing we're going to be doing is creating a new directory for this. Let's call this room 2 agent and cd into that. Then create the init.py file. And paste the okay. Oh my. Okay. Then next we have our agents, right? So it's going to be like 4 parts. The code is going to be in 4 different parts, either 4 or 5. Lost count. Agent.py. First part of this is I've been doing the initial setup, so the imports, Google Auth and whatnot, and then referencing the model that we're going to be using, which we're going to configure in our environments file. So we have this. It's just importing and the initial setup, right? The only thing that is really of interest is there isn't much of interest here. It's just this, the model that we're going to be referencing, which we're going to configure in another file. Then we add our first tool, right? So there are two tools here from this point, right? First tool is going to greet the user and then save their prompt. Second tool is going to give the agent access to Wikipedia, right? So the add prompt to state tool remembers what the person that is prompting asks, right? So when a visitor asks, for instance, where are the lions? It's going to save that specific question and then pass it on to the tool pass it on to the tools on what to research. Right. And I'm gonna go to the bottom. Okay. Then we have this code block. Oh my god. What? Okay. Then we have a researcher agent and a response formatter agent as well. The comprehensive researcher agent is going to be the brain of our entire operation. It's going to be the one taking the user's prompt from the state that we stored the visitor's prompt in, and then give it to the examines if it's the Wikipedia tool that's going to take care of that prompt or that question, and then decide how to find the answer. Then the response formatter is going to help with presentation. So you're going to take the raw data gathered by the researcher and then pass it via the LLM's language skills to transform it into a friendly response. And the final thing, not the final thing yet. Workflow. Workflow. And I'm actually just going to copy this thing from scratch. And the final two things that we have there, one is the workflow of how the agent is going to make use of sub-agents and then tools, right? So the first thing there is the workflow. So it's first going to reference the comprehensive researcher sub-agents and then the response formatter sub-agents. And the tool that the agent itself is using, which is what we've defined at the last point there, is the add prompt to state tool, right? So it's going to get the prompt, add that prompt to the state, contact the sub-agent, which is the tour guide workflow here, which will then give it access to the comprehensive researcher and the response formatter tools that we added above, right? And once that's done, final thing would be adding an env file. I've done that. Yeah. I'll just do this part in VS Code, actually. Just excuse me. That's env file. Okay. Right. So What I have in my .env file is just service accounts and the model that's going to be referencing. Nothing crazy, right? But when you list this here, so we have once again, like in the previous example, the ini.py file, the .env file, and the agent.py file, right? The agent.py file has everything from the entry point agents to the sub agents to the tools that it's going to be using and the workflows. The env file has just credentials, and the model, right? Then the init.py is just that one liner that we added at the beginning. Right, now this time, instead of running ADK web to spin up ADK on our local, I'm going to be running it with Cloud Run. Right, there's an ADK supported Cloud Run command. Get that, which is ADK deploy. Sorry. Oh. Oh God, sorry. Yeah. There's an ADK supported Cloud Run command, ADK deploy Cloud Run, which allows you to deploy directly to Cloud Run once you've authenticated with your GCP account, right? So I've already done the initial setup from everything from creating a project to setting up billing to enabling APIs, right? These are just the boring things that you would typically always do. And I will be running the ADK command right here. So this is, everyone can still see this, right? Yeah. ADK deploy to Cloud Run. The project, my project ID, which I already configured. The region, service name. I'm using the with UI flag, so it's going to spin up a user interface just like we had when we ran ADK web. Then labels, service account that I've given access to the APIs and services that I needed to have access to. And on running this, oh my God, I left the environment. Okay. Know what? Ah, okay, let's try this one more time. Oh boy, pip install. I'm so sorry. We'll have to go through that installation again. Okay, but this won't take time. So I could have run this in my Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is essentially a terminal like this right there in GCP. It already has all these tools installed. But I was scared of the internet, right? So I just planned that I would do it here. I forgot to plan for this. So yeah, that's going to be the final bit of it. So once ADK is installed here, we deploy it to Cloud Run. That's going to take a little bit of time, and the time I have left might not cover it. So I'll just show us what I already have running for this. Right. Okay. Mm. So this is something similar that I already deployed earlier. Should work ideally. Yeah, this is what I was scared of. Network. Can you imagine? All right. Okay, so this is the agent development kit once again, but this time it's running on my GCP project, right? So it's running from Cloud Run here. This is not running on local. I already have the agent selected because it's just that one agent that we deployed. And now when we ask it a question, you would see the way it's been written, you would see the different parts of that agent that we configured. So you see where it's saving the users, storing the user's inputs. You see where it's first responding and then formatting that response in a decent manner, right? So it's going to be like 2 responses from here. Hello, what can you do? So it's going to reference the first save to state. So just as an example. Okay, yeah, now it's doing it. I went to do that before. So the first to add prompt to state, then transfer the prompt to the agent, and then the final one, the sub agent, right? So those green ones are tools, while the greener one is a is a sub agent. It's going to fetch the name of all the animals. Not sure why it's not responding. Function get an animal on state. Okay, it has referenced. What? Just ask another question. This is not the most complex question, but let's just ask that. I'm wondering why it's referencing. Okay. So for some reason, the first one chose not to go through. Well, it did not go through Wikipedia because that's not general knowledge. I'm just wondering why it referenced a sub-agent that I did not configure. All right. So yeah, there you have it. So the Wikipedia part of this is a sub agent. I don't want to say that. Okay. Sorry. The Wikipedia part of this is seen as a sub agent here, right? So we've given it the workflow that's followed. Use the workflow to reference the tools, added the prompt to state, transferred the prompt that we've given to the agent, and then the agent now decides where it's going to send the question to, either Wikipedia or get animal names. But I probably misconfigured the get animal names when I was doing this. And yeah, so this is just one of the cool things that you can do with ADKs. There's a bunch more cool things that you can do. I would recommend you try your hands out with this. Or if not this one, you can just go straight to the docs or check other code labs in line with what ADKs do. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.